On one hand, we are all waiting for the vaccination drive in India to begin. On the other hand, there is a bit of a concern. This is due to the UK variant of coronavirus that is spreading quite fast. It has arrived in India as well, with number of cases rising every single day. What exactly is this UK variant of coronavirus, and how alarming is the situation for a country like India because of this? That's what we are going to discuss on India Revival Mission this week on Times Network. I am Hina Gambhir. Joining me on the broadcast today is Dr. K. Srinath Reddy, who is President, Public Health Foundation of India. He's also a member WHO. We have with us Dr. Naresh Trehan, Chairman at Medanta, Professor Shashank R. Joshi, who is Dean, Indian College of Physicians, and we also have with us Professor Amos Panett, who is a well-known virologist. Thank you very much, all of you gentlemen, for joining us here on India Revival Mission. Let me begin the discussion with you, Dr. K. Srinath Reddy. Tell us firstly about this new variant of coronavirus that has come from the UK, arrived in India, and now it has started spreading here too.
Well, this variant was noticed first in the UK in September, according to their records, but they took notice of it only in December, when a large number of cases started going up. And on investigation, they found that this was the variant that was responsible. Obviously, it has several mutations, including 17 mutations, possibly in the region of the S protein or the spike protein, which the virus uses in order to enter the cells. And there was an apprehension that it is now much more efficient in terms of its infectivity, though it has been stated that the virulence has in no way increased. But the fact that it is more infectious has caused concern in UK as well as in Europe and elsewhere. And now that we have this particular virus in our midst, and we do not know exactly when it entered, it could have entered anytime after September, but nevertheless, the cases are now being detected. But it is also true that generally, viruses tend to go more infectious. They tend to reduce their virulence as a part of the natural selection process. And that's evolutionary biology. We do not know whether this is less virulent or not, but we have been assured by UK scientists that this is certainly not more virulent. And therefore, we ought to keep a watch. The public health measures as well as personal precautions that we've been adopting so far must be continued at any rate, whether for this variant or any other variant. But we must also explore what is the impact of this variant on immunogenicity of the infection and what kind of effect it might have against any potential vaccine, which is specifically targeting the spike protein.
Okay. Dr. Naresh Trehan, how alarming is the situation according to you with respect to this new variant of coronavirus arriving in India?
Of course, it's a bad thing to happen. These are early days. We really have not understood this B117 variant, which was discovered in southeast of England. And the fact that the cases went up exponentially in that whole area was the main concern, that is it more contagious than the previous version of it. Now, time will tell, of course, but like I'm saying, that because there is a lot of guesswork going on in its behavior pattern, in its ability to infect more people, to spread easily, what will happen to the vaccine, whether the vaccines that have been made this way, will they work in this particular variant or not? These are all questions which we can all guess, but there is no real answer to it yet. Now, the point is that, like Dr. Srinath said, that it's the spike protein which is our target. That's the protein that it uses to enter the cell of the body in a human being. So if materially that protein doesn't change so much that it becomes resistant to all the work that has been done in developing the vaccine, then we'll be okay. In the sense, what it does do to us is to tell us extremely cautious. This is a new strain. We don't know how it will work. People were beginning to shed their guard, people because of corona fatigue or cabin fever or whatever you may call it, the festive season. People were actually becoming more and more careless. This has given a warning to us that it's not time yet to be careless. please double your guard, because if it is more contagious, then it will spread much faster. And I assure you, no matter what age you are, of course, if you're older and comorbidities, it's devastating. But even if for the younger people, it's no pleasure getting it. You can suffer, you can die, you may have long-term effects of it. Your kidney may get affected, your heart may get affected, lungs, of course, they get affected. So the point comes down to the same thing, that this warning is staring us in the face. It's up to us to communicate to the public what the seriousness of it is. We should not underplay it, because if we underplay and we are wrong, we would have done a big disservice to our country and to our people. So I think that caution, double it for now till we understand the new variant. It is actually, there's a variant in South Africa which is also creating havoc, that 501 or something like that. So I think that's the only thing that you need to do right now, is to double your guard and wait for the scientists to come up with the answers.
Double your guard. So that's the clear message coming at a time as far as the UK variant of coronavirus is concerned and the way it has started spreading in India. Professor Amos Panet, now it's not just about India. In fact, across the world, we are seeing this variant spreading. Many other countries have also reported this variant of coronavirus. What is your observation, your assessment of this new variant? Because, viruses do have mutations all the time.
Yeah. First, good day to all of you from Jerusalem, Israel. We shouldn't be surprised about this mutant, because we know, as you just said, that viruses are mutated all the time. We are lucky in a way that the coronavirus do not mutate as fast as other viruses like HIV, the AIDS virus, or the influenza virus. But still it mutates, and we know that the virus which came out of China, of Wuhan, in December of this year, in fact, last year, 19, has changed a lot around the world. And every country, every continent now has its own variant of the coronavirus. What is perhaps worrying a bit is that the mutations now are, as was said before, on the S protein of the virus, on the spike, and this may change the way that the virus binds to the host, to the cell. And as far as the vaccine is concerned, I'm pretty optimistic that the vaccine will still be a good vaccine. And in fact, it's been fantastic vaccine, 95% efficiency. And at the most, it may reduce somewhat the efficiency of the vaccine, but not much. So we shouldn't be too much concerned. And I know now that several laboratories around the world are checking the interaction of antibodies from people who have been immunized several months ago to see whether their sera, their antibodies, can neutralize the virus. So I expect that we'll get the answer within a week or so. And then we can go on as usually. But as was said before, we have to stop the spread of the virus, because as much as the virus will spread, more mutations will come along. That's a natural process. The virus is mutated and selected for those who make more progenies, who infect better other people. So I'm pretty optimistic that all scare will go away pretty soon.
Okay, so you are optimistic and you're hoping things to get normal very soon. Professor Shashank Joshi, as soon as India got to know about this new strain of coronavirus, we saw several immediate measures being taken by the government. First of them was that flights to and from the UK were suspended immediately from 23rd of December now till 7th of January. The ban has been extended. And then genome sequencing was another measure that was announced apart from contact tracing. Is that going to be sufficient to help us deal with this new variant, which is becoming a big headache, at least for the moment?
So I thank you for having me on the show. And I want to tell you two things before we go to the question you have asked me. There are two good things and two bad things about this new strain. The two bad things, let us take them first. Number one is that this so-called new mutant strain is a shift, antigenic shift, not antigenic drift, which means the variation is minor, not major. That is the first thing. But
Okay.
the challenge is that it affects the younger population, unlike the old strain, and it affects people without comorbidity. So those are the two bad things. The two good things are it is based on mathematical modeling and it has not shown any increase in virulence, as Dr. Srinath Reddy said. Probably the current suggestions are that it is not as bad as the previous strain. So that is the second thing. As far as the measures were taken, I think the government of India and all the state governments were very prompt in their actions. They limited the contagion coming from the port from where it was supposed to be exported. They have tried to do contact tracing of all the people who have come September onwards and tried to do a genome-wide surveillance. So whatever best in their ability and capability has been done, but we still need to be vigilant. We still need to continue our corona-appropriate behavior and corona-appropriate habits, and we still need the citizens to behave responsibly. I think government has done its best foot forward, but I think the citizens need to get out of the COVID fatigue, get out of the COVID rebellion, and become more resilient and cooperate with the authorities so that we can contain this pandemic better. Because I think now the ball is in the court of people at large who really need to adapt to stricter COVID appropriate behavior, including masking. We keep on saying that, but we see a rebellious mindset among people at large, thinking that COVID has gone, vaccine is around the corner, and really it is the people's movement now which is needed. I think government has done more than what it could chew.
Okay. Dr. Trehan, now I want to ask you that, as all of you are suggesting that the way this virus came in the month of September, first the UK variant of coronavirus was first spotted in September. We are, already about a few weeks into it. So, how difficult is it going to be for the authorities here to be able to do genome sequencing of all those who have come from the UK who test positive? Do we have that kind of capacity with us?
Well, we do have labs. We do have, the government has a lot of labs where this sequencing can be done. Now, it depends on what do we find down the stream. So if you say that 1,000 people came from UK, I don't know whether it's multiple thousands or thousands, only the government knows. Now, if that is the case and they have now
33,000, that's what the government is saying.
How many?
33,000 from 25th November till 23rd of December. 33,000 have come from the UK.
You multiply it. If those people have not restrained themselves and felt that they did not have it, you can talk about multiplying 5-6 times. So to actually map the genome mapping of 100,000 people takes time. And the point really is, like said by previous speakers, while the government is doing what it's doing, while the frontline workers are really, you look at it, 10 months at it without tirelessly taking care of people, I think that there is certain responsibility the public has. If they don't do it, they'll be the one who suffer eventually, in spite of the government and the frontline health workers doing their job very well. So we know that there is no silver bullet. The only thing we have is those 3 behavior changes, which is not really so demanding. You just have to be a little careful. That's the whole thing. That why do you need to break the code? It's day and night, and I must actually compliment the media because you have stayed with it. Day after day, there have been shows actually addressing the issue, giving us the opportunity to communicate to the people what they need to do. So I think ultimately, there is a little bit, everybody will agree that there is a lot of guesswork in it right now. Professionally, I feel it is always better to be on the side of caution than optimism, because caution does not hurt you. Optimism can lead you down a dangerous path. So, yeah, we want to give some hope. I'm not saying there's no hope. There is hope. But till that hope materializes, till we really find out that we can actually contain this monster, we should be on our guard. No question about that in my mind. Because you need to spare yourself, your families, because you may infect the older of the people or the children. Then you'll suffer for the rest of your life saying, my guilt that I was responsible for my parent going away or something, that's not something that anybody wants to live with. So for God's sake, I'm addressing everybody that be careful, and more careful just for another 2-3 months. Till we know where we are at, till vaccine is rolled out in enough people, by the time we vaccinate 60% of the population, we expect a good herd immunity. And hopefully this virus will not, hound us any longer. So 3 months, my appeal, do not change your
3
behavior
months.
pattern right now. Be cautious.